Hey, good morning everybody. So today we're going to do a little scouting, a little South Florida public land scouting. Deer season's over, ended about 2 weeks ago, and it's time to start scouting for next year. So I touched on a little bit in a previous video. This is the time of year, in my opinion anyways, to get out here and start stomping around in the woods. Deer season's over, like I said, and it really doesn't matter if you bump anything out. And the other thing is that these deer, these bucks primarily, are still hanging around the areas that you will likely find them in deer season next year. Like I said before, scouting or in the summertime is really not productive as far as where you're finding these bucks at, because that's not where they're going to be this time of year or during deer season. So now's the time to do it. There's a lot of benefits to it, ones I already talked about, plus the fact that it's weather's still nice out. I'm in South Florida, so if I wait till June or July to start scouting, not only is it, the deer have moved on, they're in their summer patterns, but also it's 95 degrees out here. So in my opinion, this is the perfect time to start scouting. So we're going to start doing that now. I've showed y'all before. I'm going to show you this Geopack app. My opinion, once again, it's priceless when it comes to scouting, comes to planning. I've already done a lot of planning on the app before I even came out here. I got an area picked out that I want to look at. What I do is I look on the aerial maps. I find areas that look good to me. I look for pinch points, natural funnels, and then the next thing to do is get out there and have a look at it yourself. Put your boots on the ground and take a walk. There's no amount of virtual scouting is going to replace that. You got to get out there and you got to look at it yourself and find yourself a good spot. And what I do here, I'm going to show you on this app how simple it is too. Just go to map. Trying to do this one hand is going to be tough. So you can see I got a lot of spots picked out on here, and there's an area to the north of where I've been before that I haven't looked at, up in this area. So what I'm looking at here, you can see on this area, see that little question mark? I've dropped a pin there because I want to take a look at that. You got this big marsh here, and then a strip of marsh here, and you got dry ground right up the middle. So that's what I'm talking about when I'm talking about natural funnels. That's an area when it's wet, and during archery season in South Florida, it's a rainy season, so all these marshes will be full of water. These deer likely will travel this dry area up the middle. So that is where we're headed. We're gonna get in there and take a look. All right, we got a pretty good hike, about 2 miles. It's real windy out here today, so I apologize for all this wind noise you're gonna hear. But I got my bike here, and we're gonna take a ride about 2 miles, and I'll catch up with y'all once we get back there. All right, y'all, we made it out here. So I'm gonna do now, I'm gonna show you. Park my bike. So I'm gonna show you how I mark this on my map here. All you gotta do is, I'm gonna mark where I parked my bike just so I don't lose it. If you hit this little button right here, it takes you right to your location. So you can see I zoom in right there where I'm at. Hold on it, new pin. And then I'm not gonna, you can set a symbol if you want to, but I'm not going. I'm just going to drop the pin just so I know where it is for now. See there, a little question mark pops up because I didn't put a symbol, so, but it gives me something. So now here's that area right there. So I'm going to walk east, a little bit of south, head through this little pinch right here, check all this out. So we'll head that way. So Something to keep in mind when you're scouting. As I'm walking, I'm always looking, scanning. I try to stay quiet. Obviously not right now, I'm talking to y'all, but I try to stay quiet. So if I see, sometimes I slip right up on deer. But really you want to be looking. Look for tracks, look for rubs, scrapes, whatever. Whatever you've got in your area that might show you deer sign. But you don't want to just pound around. Walk slow, walk quiet, and look. See what you can find. Look for trails. Look for not only trails, but look for active trails. Where are they using this time of year? And that, like I said before, that all does change. What trails they're using today, they're probably not going to be here in the summer. So that'll give you an idea of where they may be traveling next year. And yes, they do use the same paths year after year. So it's very likely. Usually what I'll do is if I know an area and I know it has active trails or old trails, I'll come in there the following year if I'm going to hunt it and check those trails and make sure they are being used. That'll give you a good idea. Like this one you can see I'm walking on right here. It's a game trail. As I'm walking, I crossed it, and then I just started following it. See what we find. And something to note is I came across this field right here, and I crossed that trail right over there. I was heading towards this little brush head over here, and if you'll notice, this trail I'm walking on is going right down the edge of this brush trail, and you'll find that a lot. These deer like to stay up against cover, kind of an escape route. If something spooks them, they can bound into this heavy cover. So something to think about. I usually look for transitions like that on edges, things like that. Seems like you'll find your activity more there. So, and something else to keep in mind is most of the animals in general, they're in certain areas. You're going to find them on the trails. They use these trails like roads. And animals are like people. They're always going to take, for the most part, the path of least resistance. So if you're walking through the woods and you say to yourself, well, that looks like an easier way to walk, well, chances are the animals are probably doing the same thing. So think logically. They're going to do the same thing. They're not going to walk through thick brush if they don't have to. Really good example, guys, of what I just talked about as far as thinking logically. I came across the canal, and I looked down, and I started looking around, and I found deer tracks in the mud. And I followed them down the edge of the canal. And what it took me to is an area that's pretty much dry and easily crossable. Case in point, the deer know where this spot is. They're not going to cross the canal if they don't have to. Goes right along the same thing. There you go, walk right across. Just got to think like a deer. I'm walking up towards that area I dropped that pin on. I'm in some nice little grassy area. You can see a little deer bed right there. There's some more over here under this little myrtle bush. Yeah, you can see they're bedding up in here. So, found a little bedding area. Keep looking. Well, it was 55 degrees when I got up this morning. It's starting to get hot now. Time to shed a layer. Highly recommend, if you don't have one, get you a good quality backpack. Makes all the difference in the world. You can see this pack right here. This is the Badlands, but there's a bunch of other ones. A nice waist belt keeps the you pull it in nice and tight. It takes the weight off your shoulders. See that? It's like nothing on my shoulders. And then a chest strap keeps everything close to your body. It makes, I'm telling you what, it makes all the difference in the world. So if you don't have one, I highly recommend it. Looking good so far, guys. Not just a little ways. That area is right back over here that I wanted to get to, but came across this little muddy area. Bunch of tracks, deer and hogs. So good sign. They're back here. Here's some more nice deer tracks. So that's what we're looking for. We're looking for deer sign. We're certainly finding it. We haven't even really gotten there yet. Sit up in this shade here. Take a look at the app real quick, see where we're at. So it looks like we're a little south and west of where I want to be. So we'll walk around this little marsh right here and get back up in here. So we head that way. So this is the edge of that marsh that I showed you on the map. The spot we want to be in is back over there where those trees are. We'll walk down the edge of it, work our way around. Just working down the edge of this pond, this marsh, flag pond they call it down here in Florida. I'll show you. Like an old rub. Probably, yeah, it's probably from this year. A little small rub. This is good. And that's usually where you find them, like I was saying before. You'll find most of your deer sign on the edges. So they're just working down the edge of this marsh. You head around, which is where we're heading. There's a little head back there with some palms and oaks and whatnot. So let's see, it might be a good little area. Another little spot, looks like deer have been hitting on it, broke branches. You can see this trail in the water. The game trail where these animals are using, right down the edge of the water. You see, walking this little trail, there's another myrtle that's been hit right on this trail. This is the kind of stuff I'm talking about. Find these trails. Clearly the bucks are using them. Every other myrtle bush has got a rub on it. They're old rubs from this year, previous, early in the year. But it's a good chance next year will be the same thing. So we just found a decent spot. So you can see here's the marsh, and we're walking down around the edge of it. And so are the deer. And they're hitting these myrtle bushes. Something else that I look for when I'm walking around, and like I was saying, I'm always looking at deer tracks and game sign, but probably one of the most important things to look for is people sign. As y'all saw, I took a long bike ride back here. I'm about 2 miles from my truck, and I do that because I don't want to hunt around other people. I'm very careful when I'm in here before season, not coming in here right before season, bumping everything out, leaving my scent everywhere. It's just smart hunting. But if I'm hunting somewhere where other people are hunting and they're not smart hunters, I don't even know it, and they're in here walking all over the place before I come in here and hunt. Not good. So I try to get as far away from everybody else as I can. I use a bike. If you like to walk, it's up to you, but whatever you got to do, I recommend finding areas that are away from everybody else. In my experience, honestly, 2 miles is probably a little excessive. Most people, I think, hunt probably within a half a mile of their truck or less. That's just most people are like that. I don't know, they just want to walk, I guess. I don't know, but regardless, get yourself away from all the other hunters and you'll do a lot better. Just a big wide open field here for a gun hunt would be nice, for a big long view. And I got this palm tree right there. And the problem I see with that is the sun this time of year. Think about all this stuff, guys. Come gun season, or any time really, sun rises in the east, and in the winter time it slowly makes its way south a little bit, so it's going to be a little south of east. So if I'm hunting here during gun season, the sun's going to be coming up right around in there, which is going to be right in my face if I'm sitting right there. So I'd like to try to, at least for morning hunts, face that way, which is probably doable up there. If I turn my stand that way, I got a little bit of cover. So just something to think about. Think about all that stuff. Your morning hunt spots, your afternoon hunt spots. Don't pick a tree that you're going to sit and roast. That's no fun. And if I like to use a climber a lot, so they're easy to move. I'll have one tree for the morning and maybe switch to another tree in the afternoon. That's not a big deal either. But I don't want to sit there with the sun in my face all morning, so just keep that in mind. Something else to think about when you're picking a tree. You found it. Let's say you found a spot, got a lot of activity, you like the area. Now you need to find a tree. Something that's really important to think about is the wind also. That particular time of year, what are you hunting? You're hunting during archery, you're hunting during muzzleloader, you're hunting during gun season. What's the normal predominant wind? Here, some kind of an east wind, east, northeast, depending on southeast if it's in archery. So when I'm looking for my tree, I'm thinking about where that wind's going. What area do I want to hunt? Where do I think the deer are going to come from? Meaning, where's the bedding area? The likelihood of them coming out of the bedding area, and where's my wind going to go? So if I think they're bedding over here, I want my wind to blow away from that bedding area where I think those deer are going to come from. So if you can't, it doesn't do you any good to set up in a great area if you're in the wrong tree and your wind's blowing in the wrong direction. So you got to think about that stuff. Always try to I try to walk into the wind and have my wind blowing where I walked in from, so that I'm not boogering up a big area, as small area as I can. I gotta get in here and my wind's got to go somewhere, so you got to give up something. But I'd like it to be all in the same area. I don't want to walk in from there and then blow my wind over there, because then I just messed up two areas. See what I'm saying? So think about all that kind of stuff too. I just walked up on a couple of deer. Bumped them out of that little myrtle right there. I don't know if you can see her with this. There she goes. Like doe. One big doe and one small doe. But that's what I'm talking about right there. You walk slow. I just walked up within 15 feet of these deer. They jumped right up from right there. Walk slow, quiet. You can amaze what you'll see. This is that spot, by the way, that we wanted to get to. This is up on that little ridge between those marshes, and that's right where I found these deer. So I guess we're on to something here. Check it out, guys. This is right where those deer ran down this trail. A little rub. Nice little high ridge. There's that marsh right over there. So you can see it's pinched by water. It's a little mucky in here, but there's that marsh. It's dry. See that water in there. Yeah, so a nice little spot here. It's definitely has potential, I think. Probably what I'll do is come back here with a couple of cameras come July. These deer will have decent horns. Throw up a couple of cameras, see if we got one in here that's worth putting a stand in here and hunting them. And now we got to look for a tree. I'm looking at that palm tree right there. I can nestle up in those palm fronds right there with a climber. It might be perfect. So if we were going to pick a spot for this, a tree rather, for this spot, we know our wind's going to come from the east. That big marsh is right there. It's going to pinch this off. So if our wind is going to be blowing that way, our stand needs to be down here somewhere. So let's take a walk back this way a little bit, see if we can find a tree. This is over here where that palm tree is. Take a look at this. There's another myrtle beat up. Oh, buck was mad at that tree. We got a couple of options over there too. Alright, so I got a tree here that looks pretty cool. I got a nice big wide open area. The deer I jumped were right over there. And this area looks really nice. Nice high dry area. You got marsh over there where that tree line is. You got marsh right over here. We're in that, on that ridge in between. And this is all wide open, high dry. I got a nice palm right here. And what I like about this palm tree is it's straight for one, easy to climb with my climber. And I got this second palm tree as a backdrop. It's going to do two things for me. It's going to give me some cover from the sun, which is going to come from that way. And it's going to give me a nice back cover so I don't get picked off and silhouetted. If you're sitting up in a tree like that has no cover around it, and the deer will easily see you. So it's nice to have some cover behind you that kind of hides your silhouette. So I'm going to mark this tree on Geopack. I'll show you how I do that. What I usually do is just walk right over here to it. Got the app up, so there's me. It's hard to see. You get some shade here, y'all can see. I zoom in on where I'm at, right there. Hold my finger down, new pin, and then what I'll do is touch on a little icon for a tree stand, and then just touch on where it says. It says kind of defaults to hang on stand. If you touch on it, it'll give you the option to change what it says. So I'm going to delete that, and I'm just going to type in palm, so I know it's that palm tree. And then hit next. Done. It'll put a pin right on that palm tree, and that way I know where it is and I can come back to it. Walking out, not a bad morning. Found a couple of nice spots. Oak trees with a lot of deer tracks around them, so I think it's going to be a good spot. But I got a couple more areas I want to look at before I make a decision, and then of course we'll come back probably a month or so before the hunt. Actually, we'll come back and put some cameras out probably in June or July. See if we got any bucks, good bucks in the area. And if we see a good one, then we'll just stay out of it and hunt it. Come back, slip back in there a day or two before the hunt, put a stand in there, and we'll be in business. All right, y'all, we're gonna get on out of here. I got a little bit of a walk back to the bike, and then a bike ride back to the truck, and that's it. We'll see you on the next one. Hope y'all y'all enjoyed it, get a little good information out of it. And don't forget to hit the subscribe button. We got a lot of stuff coming. We got a good another good piece of land, y'all. We picked up a piece of property up in North Florida, Georgia, right on the border there. A few thousand acres that we're going to be working on. It's going to be really cool. So I'm thinking of we got a lot of work to do on the land. I'm thinking of a whole show, like a whole start to finish. Right now there's nothing on it. A couple of old stands where it's been hunted in the past, but we got a lot of work to do, food plots, feeders, and we'll show y'all how we do it. I'm thinking we're going to do every little step by step for y'all and show you how it goes. All right, so stick in there, hang in there. Don't forget to subscribe, and we'll see you on the next one.